here I am about to review a child's book series with my Rotten.com shirt on. Oh, God. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's me again. So, to preface this ever so slightly, I put together a little book club on the Patreon. I thought it could be fun if we were just like reading a book from a series every week or whatever. So I thought that we could hit some old nostalgia, some a nostalgic classic. It's a series of unfortunate events. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, this was like my Harry Potter or whatever. Like everybody was freaking out about insert name of children's series. I was freaking out about this. This was like the most important thing in the whole fucking world to me when I was a kid. Can I still say fuck in the kids? You know what? We all grew up. Rotten.com shirt. We all grew up. And we learned that the world fucking sucks. So we're here to talk about how the world sucks, as evidenced by this children's literature. Children's literature. Cool. Anyway, so what is this? Besides a book, what does it do? What is it? So it's an unfortunate sort of deal, because it's well, it's a lot of things, isn't it? I mean, if you've read it, and I'm sure that nostalgia is just flowing back to you, but it's a lot of things, and it makes a certain kind of sense as an adult that it maybe didn't make when I was a kid. But on the other hand, it made a certain sort of sense when I was a kid that maybe it doesn't as an adult. I don't know. It's a topsy-turvy world that we explore here. Tumultuous times indeed. So, this is the story of three kids who love their parents. Unfortunately, that they love their parents. Their parents get murdered horribly in a fire while they're at the beach. We've all been there. Anyway, so they go back to well, their home, but there is no home. It's just a burnt out husk. Anyway, so there's this person named Mr. Poe. He works for the bank. He's a family friend, and he's like, hey, I can help you by bringing you to the nearest available relative. Unfortunately, the nearest available relative is a son of a bitch kind of bastard rat kind of bastard kind of man named Count Olaf, which is the name of someone who you would imagine to be basically just a deplorable, you know what I'm talking about, just an indiscriminate son of a bitch kind of guy. I'm talking about a... I'm sorry, I'm trying really hard to keep the bit going. He's kind of like an asshole type of fella. So I'm sorry. And he has like this lovely next door neighbor who's a judge, and the kids are like, oh, this is awesome. We get to go live at the judge's house. And then, like imagine like the scene of a movie, right? Where it's like, no. You belong to the next door neighbor. And then like the camera pans over to the worst, most motherfucked house you've ever seen in your whole life. And it's owned by I will not censor myself. Bad fella. He's got an eyeball tattoo on his ankle. He's a bad guy. He's watching you from his foot. So, people actually love this. And I didn't know this. Okay. Maybe I live in a bubble. I'm not sure. Probably. It's the millennial bubble. I didn't know that there were other adult children who thought that this was still awesome. I was under the impression that I was like the only person on earth to have nostalgia for this. But then I was like talking to my wife about it, and she's like, I love those books. I remember those books from when I was a kid. And not only that, but there's like an iceberg filled with like secrets, and people are still trying to figure these out even today. That I didn't know. I had no idea that there was a thriving, active community of people that still love and care about these so much. And the more I read as I went on, the nugget of the idea was like, it could be fun to try this. But the more that I read, the more I was like, wow, there's actually like a lot here. Is this like the best kids book series ever? Maybe? I'll let you decide, but the answer is yes. The world is very cruel to children. If you're here and you're watching this right now, buddy, I hate to say it, but you and I are the same in that knowledge. There's no reason why you're here if not for having a rough childhood. I'm wearing a rotten.com shirt, so I'm a very normal, well-adjusted person. This book series, in a certain sort of way, it like highlights the very essence of growing up in a world that is just completely apathetic. It just doesn't care about what's going on. In fact, it does care about exactly one thing, and that's everything. It's addicted to everything. Adults, they have this poison in their brain that makes them think that a child means nothing. Throw it in the recycle bin. But money, though, ooh, I could rub that on my balls. So they fucking love money and they hate kids. So this series is mostly about how the world is I'm sorry, I keep saying the F word. It's a nightmare. It's a bad time for everyone. The legal system, we all think, oh, the legal system, that's one of those things that exists to protect children. This book says, I'm sorry, no, it's not. It's there to punish children for no reason. So to benefit people that are son of a bitch asshole kinds of guys who have tattoos of eyes on their ankles. He's always watching. Anyway, so there are three children in this book series. They are the Baudelaire children. The astute viewer at home might be saying, Baudelaire, where have I heard that before? Are you talking about the Flowers of Evil? That's right, I am talking about that. Why are they named after that? I'll let you decide. So, Sunny is a little baby. She bites people that she thinks are bad people. And the thing is, she's very right about all of her assumptions. She never, guesses character incorrectly. This is all about the inherent vibes-based understanding of children. Have you ever had a dog that, is totally calm and totally chill, and then some bastard knocks on your door and they absolutely lose their mind? That's basically children. And Klaus is the second child. He's a curious kind of guy. He's also, he basically uses his intelligence to defend himself and his family. But we live in a very uncurious world. We live in a very, it doesn't really reward intelligence very much, especially when you're a kid. I remember when I was a kid, I used to be in this, gifted and talented program, so I was mind controlled. And that's why I'm like this. So I was mind controlled. I used to bring books like this sort of book, one of these, to class with me. And when I finished my classwork, I would sit and read. Because I was taught when I was in elementary school, drop everything and read. It's time to make time to read, because that's where you actually really learn stuff, completely independently of your teachers. Well, this particular gifted and talented teacher took my books away from me every time she saw me having them, as if I were doom scrolling on TikTok. It was horrible. I was discouraged to read for the remainder of my life. So it's very interesting how when you're a little bitty kid, you're yeah, I'll read stuff. But then when you start actually reading stuff and trying to figure out what the world's like, they're you better not know, because how are we going to trick you? The third unfortunate is Violet. She's 14. She is an inventor. She's the kind of person that ties her hair back and gets it done. She's a doer, someone who is very proactive about protecting her family. But the thing you'll notice is, as a through line of all three of them, is that they stand up for each other, they protect each other, and they do whatever they can to ensure each other's safety and well-being in a fucked up, terrible world. So the world is actually a foil to all three of these personality types. I mean, the idea that you can just kind of intuit people being good people or people being bad people. The world doesn't like that. The idea that you're a curious person who tries to like arm yourself with some knowledge, they don't like that either. And they definitely don't like a woman who does stuff. Sorry. I don't mean to get too whatever, but, we live in the time of Epstein files stuff, right? So is it really like, is it that controversial to say that I feel like a 14-year-old girl who like does stuff and doesn't allow the world to treat her like a fucking object all the time is like seen as a threat? Because I feel like that is just objectively what's going on. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, from the very outset, these children are put in a situation that is just utterly precarious. They have to deal with the realities of the world, which is to say the legal system, parental guardianship, greed, all these things. They have to deal with these horrible realities while being children and being pure in their own sort of way. And they have to defend themselves and they have to defeat that terrible world. But it's hard to defeat it because it transforms. It's constantly changing. It's an amalgam. And also it's an abstraction. It's abstractions on top of abstractions. Nothing about the adult world makes any sense at all. And I know because I live in it. It's crazy out here. They have us believing terrible things. They take us to war for no reason. I mean, it's horrible out here. Terrible. Greed? Buddy. Don't have anything in the world because someone will be like, gee, I better go take that thing. So ultimately the story is about 3 children that like their parents die, which they didn't want. And they have like an inheritance that they can't access until they're 18. And they didn't want that either. They don't care about that. Matter of fact, I don't think the Baudelaire kids ever like care deeply about money at any point. A matter of fact, there's a lovely scene in this where they're given the demand to make dinner for a big group gathering, and they take absolute relish in just enjoying making a meal and smelling the meal and feeling like a good meal actually makes you a happier person. And like it transcends these stupid ideas that actually rule our world, these like horrific archons, right? So I feel like Olaf, in a certain way, Count Olaf, the bastard man, he is the ultimate archon, right? He is our world personified. He's an actor. He's constantly transforming himself. No one knows who he is truly at the bottom of anything. We don't know that much about him, really, other than that he is the kind of person who hits Klaus in the face for no reason and picks up a baby and says, I want to kill this baby. And he's like showing it off to everybody and everybody applauds. And of course, he's also the kind of guy who wants to marry his 14-year-old ward. 14, by the way. And no one cares about that. Never once in the book does anybody go, geez, that's a bit young. No one cares. Everyone is actually helping him do it. Matter of fact, the entire structure around him is all about protecting him instead of the children. It's so infuriating. When you read it, it really, it really pisses me off. I mean, it really gets me going. I don't have children, but I'd like to someday, maybe, if they'd stop. But if I did, I worry about the children that would come into the world, because they would have to deal with this like transformative evil, this greed, this perpetual just an amalgam of shit, really. And I feel like reading these books as an adult kind of, you stop seeing it through the lens of yourself, and you see it more through the lens of like children today. And buddy, and I know that this is not a shock to anybody, but my God, I can't imagine being a child today. I thought that when I was a kid. I was like, I have no idea how the hell I can be a child right now. But now that I'm an adult, I look around and I think, oh my God, how the hell are children okay? Are they okay? Like, genuine question. I feel so bad for children. And to make matters worse, I feel like they are discouraged from reading things like this that actually tell them the truth of the world. And in fact, that actually brings my biggest point just into the fold very early. This story is about, it's all about telling children how the world really is going to treat them. This series of unfortunate events, right? It's happening to them, and it's overcharacterized as fictionalized, but it's happening to all of us over the course of time. We all get thrown into the grinder of what it's like to be a person, but it doesn't have to be that way. It just is that way. We are just constantly being thrust into this position. And the crazier part is we have people on Earth right now who have dealt with this system's brutality and have allowed that to become who they are. Like, they like it. They'll defend the way it is, and they'll attack children for not understanding the way that it is. So it ends up in a situation where children just get shafted. I mean, they're getting fucked around crazy style. It's terrible. And that is all personified in the character Mr. Poe, who is basically a banker. He doesn't give a fuck about anything, seemingly. He has a cough, and he's the first person to meet up with the kids and be like, hello, kids, your parents are dead. Now I'm going to take you to some random guy's house, and he's going to abuse the shit out of you for, I don't know, 13 bucks or whatever. And you'll try to escape, but he knows that you have money, so he will always chase you. He will always pursue the fact that you have money, pieces of paper, some bullshit in this world. Anyway, Mr. Poe is the actual... he's the actual villain of the whole thing. He is the system that allows Olaf to thrive and the children to suffer. He is the single intermediary that could change the entire trajectory of the story, but chooses not to. He chooses not to. And in a way, that's the banality of evil. You know, that's the Zone of Interest. If you've seen that film, it's just banality of evil stuff. It's just horrible things are going on, and no one cares, and we just let them happen. And, oh, well, we don't want to, damage our status in the system. Mr. Poe is absolutely representative of that kind of evil. And he ends up becoming one of the more persistent villains throughout the series. And of course, we're just talking about book 1. I will be making videos about the rest of the series, but we're just trying to get our terminology set here. What's actually going on? So, I mean, the story of book 1 really, it's about how even when bad things are going on in the world, like you lose your parents, right? To open up about myself, I'm a child of divorce. I feel like most people are. There were a lot of times where I didn't want to go across the country to go spend time with my father or my mother. I just wanted to stay and chill. I wanted to have friends. I wanted to do other stuff. But, I have a sister. We're very close. And we would, have this lust for life for just simple things. Going outside, going for walks. One time we packed our bags and walked to 7-Eleven, and we felt like that was a meaningful act of rebellion. We made meals. We watched things and played games together. We had fun. We made do. And I feel like that's the thing about children, right? It's the Night of the Hunter thing, where it's like children just tend to abide by whatever it is. The worst situation in the whole world can happen to a child, and that child will find a way to be happy tomorrow somehow. And that is one of those things that kind of disappears as you get older. So really, I feel like the core of this is about this lust for life. Kids have this lust for life. They want to enjoy their life, and if all this bad stuff is happening to them, they want to change it, right? If the system doesn't work, they want to change the system, because why would the system hurt people? That doesn't make sense. Where adulthood, as a total foil to this, adulthood is all about being like, well, what you gonna do? You know, you can't change anything. This is called learned helplessness, okay? I want you to remember this term, learned helplessness. Imagine the reading rainbow. Learned helplessness. It's that feeling that you get over time where you've just been beaten down by the world so many times that eventually you just go like, well, yeah, I get beaten down. That's what happens to me. You know, this has nothing to do with the Epstein files, but to return to that, right? This whole, here's all this bad stuff going on. Here's all these bad people doing bad things, and none of them ever really get punished. Ever. And that's reality. That's reality. The truly evil things in this world do not get punished, but the rules-based order will punish you. You'll get punished for nothing. You know, if you have everything, you're punished. If you have nothing, you're punished. But if you control the system, you're fine. Completely untouchable. So that this is like a sort of unfairness that the first time you feel it, you're like, this is unfair. This is stupid. Also, think about children. Think about yourself as a child. What is the thing that children always say? This is not fair, right? It's not fair. That is like every child's like blanket statement for whenever anything is going on, because it isn't fair. But what do adults say? Well, life isn't fair. And that's what is depicted here. So children just make the best of it, right? In any situation. You know, life itself is very unpredictable. It's not just people, right? And that's one of the deeper problems here. It's not just people, it's also life, right? And this is all kind of, in a certain way, and we'll get into this, personified in Lemony Snicket, the writer, the fictional writer who writes these books. He has a meta story about how he loved someone and he lost that person and it wasn't fair. And it like more or less ruined his life and turned him into this miserable husk of a person. And that's the inherent unfairness of life, right? That you can love someone and they can die. You can have children and they can die. You can have parents, they can die. People die. It's unfair. It sucks. People can have things and then they can be taken from them. People can trust people and then get fucked around by those people they trust. I mean, that is life. Really, when it comes down to it, that is both how life feels and how life is. And that, you know, when you're a child, you don't want it to be that way. So it's easy to make this jump between like the world that we built is unfair and the world as it is unfair. And in a certain way, the unfairness that we build is a reflection of the way that we feel about the unfairness as it exists as a concept in life. We replicate that unfairness. And unfortunately, what that does is make everybody more miserable. So the last thing is that, you know, the adult world, it's all about secrets. Like, why is it that Olaf does a lot of the things that he does? Why does he have eyes all over his house? You know, did he buy all those just because he was about to have some orphans over? I don't really know. You know, he has friends. They're all, you know, potentially scary, despicable people. Why is he friends with them? Why is his house shitty? Why didn't he ever think to like make his house nice? I don't know. Like, so there's those mysteries, but also there's the mystery of like, how does the rules-based order work? How does the legal system work? Well, You can't know. Unfortunately, sorry guys, you can't find out, and this is directly depicted in this because it's all written in Latin. So if you want to learn about the law, well, it's really boring, and it's gonna suck for you. And ultimately, all it is a bunch of jargon and a bunch of language, a bunch of nonsense, so that like a rent-seeking lawyer can show up and explain it to you. But if you don't have that and you want to learn about it yourself, well, sorry, because no matter how much Latin you learn, no matter how much bullshit you cut out of these legal rules, it always comes back to, well, ultimately the adult said so. I mean, really, in this situation, like Klaus learns some Latin. He reads a book about the legal system, all to essentially learn that his parental guardian, who is not his parent, can do whatever he wants to them, and they can't stop him. And that's the legal system. A bunch of jargon that just gets right in the way of people living their lives in a happy, healthy way. Being able to get out of bad situations. Matter of fact, we have systems in place to keep people in bad situations. Isn't that great? So what I'm saying here is kind of art reflects life, art reflects life. It's all abstractions, but Lemony Snicket, in a certain sort of way, the fictional writer that writes these books, he is the refraction of this whole situation, right? He is the children in these three different sort of ways. So he's basically personified as just a man that's been punished a lot for no fucking reason. So primarily, the story is just about these three kids having to go stay with a extended family member who finds out that they have a bunch of money and then decides he's going to do whatever he can to fuck them out of that money. Pretty much. He puts on an elaborate play where he gets the 14-year-old girl Violet to sign her name on a marriage certificate so that Count Olaf will be able to take her fortune. And shortly before this happens, Sonny, the baby, is put in a cage hanging outside of a window in a tall tower that can fall and die. And Klaus is hit in the face, and Violet is told that, if this is how he feels about you when you have the money and he's trying to get the money from you, imagine what he will do to you as soon as he gets what he wants. And that is the true terror here, right? That's the threat of death, really. I mean, that's here's a guy who wants to kill children because he likes money. Just doesn't value children at all, doesn't value any of these things that are actual real values, like curiosity and knowledge, being able to sense someone's character or paying attention to someone's character in any kind of detailed manner, but also being someone who takes care of things, does things, stands up for themselves and others. These are three concepts that are constantly being stamped down by our world. People will tell you, you can't trust your own brain. They'll tell you, you shouldn't be learning about X or Y thing. And they'll tell you that, just sit down and shut up and accept the way that things are, and maybe I'm, overly signaling my own upbringing. Maybe it's different for everybody, but I feel like the reason that there's still a community of people that absolutely love these books, analyze them even to this day, still read them, is not just because Tim Curry did the audiobook, which is really cool, you're right, but is actually because they felt the same way when they were growing up. And I felt like there was a transcendent nature to these books, and in rereading them, it's like it all came flooding back to me, and it all suddenly made sense that, why do we allow things to not be fair? Why do we want the world to be fucked up? Why do we want bad shit to happen to us? I don't know. Why does bad shit continue to happen to us? And why don't we ever like look that power structure in the face and be like, this is the reason why? We're afraid to do that because of learned helplessness. We've been kicked down so many times by the time we're this age, this crusty old age that I am, that we actually feel incapable, like something is wrong with us. I mean, something that I frequently talk about and I feel very, very strongly, and I'm open to disagreement here, but I have felt every time in my life that I've ever felt depressed, it's because it was imposed on me. Something was depressing me. Every time I felt anxious, it's because I'm afraid of something. These are, in my mind and in my life, these have been symptoms of this learned helplessness and how it has coalesced into my body and my mind. And it is insane making. And it makes us continue to be insane. And it's also going to lead to just another generation of people that treat their kids like shit. And I think that's fucked up. And here's a guy who actively tried to stop that. He tried to actually tell people when they were young people with a mature voice, not talking down to them, not calling them names, not making them feel stupid, but saying to them as if they were smarter than him, hey, this is what's going on in your world. And this is what people are going to try to do to you. And you have to prevent that from happening. So that's the bad beginning. We're going to be reading more. You probably can't see it. I have an entire stack of these guys. I went out and painstakingly found all of them. And buddy, you can find them at thrift stores, okay? If you want to get them, you can get them at thrift stores. Matter of fact, this is like one of the coolest thrift store finds I've had in like quite a while. You go up there, you see a couple of them, you're like, wow, $3? I'll take them. So what I'm saying is, we have a book club on Discord. We're going to be reading every single one of these, and I'm going to make a video just like this one about every single one, and I'm going to try really hard not to just continually say the exact same thing that I said here. But we do have this book club. Please join us. It's on Discord. If you are on Patreon, I have another piece of good news for you. That's right. I don't have it on me, but I found another copy of this at a thrift store today, and I was like, hey, you know what would be cool is if I just gave one of these away, right? This one is a first edition. I think that one is also a first edition. I'm not exactly certain, but either way, it's the first giveaway. But I feel like encouraging people to read is very, very cool. So I'm all about it. The book club is available on Patreon. You can sign up for free. It's totally free. But if you are one of the paid members, you're automatically entered in the giveaway or whatever. And maybe you'll get a copy from me. So look forward to that. I've been May Leets, and we've been talking about series of unfortunate events. There's also, I want to PS this, there's also a bunch of hidden stuff, bunch of secrets, bunch of interpretations in here. Like, one that I really, really like is that, you know, Mr. Poe has this constant cough. Well, is that because he lit the fire that killed the kid's parents? Or was that because he was at the fire when the kid's parents died and he escaped, but then he lied about it? Or 3, is it because he's constantly smoking cigarettes when no one's looking because he's trying to cope with how fucked up reality is, but then whenever the kids come around, he's like, I'm in total control, just like every adult is a liar? I think the answer is actually all 3. But anyway, there are a lot of fan theories. There's a lot of different stuff going on, lots of secrets, and I would love to hear what y'all speculate on, what you think, and we have a pretty decent little thriving community. So please check out the Patreon. You can get Discord access, join the book club. We can read the rest of these books, and I'll be back with the next one very soon. So yeah. Anyway, bye or whatever.